Hello, we are going to be watercolor painting the background for our artwork. So what you saw in the slideshow had black patterns on it. We're not going to be painting that. But the first thing we need to do is everybody take your piece of paper, flip it over, and write your name on the back and your class number. Okay, so do that right now before we forget, and then flip it back over. We are going to be watercolor painting abstract designs today. So the color that you saw in the artwork is just the background. So think tie-dye, or think drips, or fabric, or stripes, or a sunset, something like that. We're not going to actually paint a picture of anything. It's just going to be lots of color. So the first thing we're going to do, we have two brushes. I call this one Big Bertha and this one Tiny Tim. Big Bertha is going to paint great big stripes and paint faster. Tiny Tim is for details. So I'm going to show you two ways to use that. When we use the water, we are being careful and being gentle, and we are swirling. We are never being crazy and tapping or pushing, because that's how spills happen, and we would hate to ruin our friend's paper because we were being messy. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some water on my paper. This is just called a wash. Watercolors will bleed together, which when you're painting, you don't always want that, painting a picture, but for this kind of thing, it's really great to watch the colors bleed together, and then it looks like tie-dye. This is also going to make our colors not be very dark. So if you want darker colors, then just skip this step. Next, we have our paints. They're pretty sad. New ones are coming. So hopefully you can find the colors that you want. We are only using rainbow colors today. We are not going to use brown and black. So I am just getting my colors wet, and then I dip my paintbrush and start the swirling of colors. Like I said, we are not trying to paint a picture. And do you see how the colors are bleeding out into the wet that I already painted on the paper? Then we can start adding more colors. And like I said, when you add the water, it makes the colors very light. So this orange is hardly showing up. Green is going to be brighter, also because I have more green in my palette. And then when I get to that edge, I didn't have water there, so it's not going to spread out quite as nice. Now I have nothing really in mind as I'm painting. I'm just starting to add colors and see what happens. When I swirl green and blue together, I get this aqua color over here. Maybe you want to do stripes. Maybe you want to do polka dots. Maybe you want to wait for the colors to dry and add more layers on top of it. That is fine. You really can't do this wrong unless you add black or brown. Because remember, we just want color, bright colors. Our ink is going to have black. Now, let's say I'm finished. I'm not finished because I want to paint the whole thing before I really say I'm finished. But you're going to take your finished artwork and you're going to put it on the drying rack. Then, when you come back, you're going to take your paintbrush that you used. You're going to give it a good swirl and then a swipe. You are not going to hit it like a drumstick. That causes splatter and a mess. Then you're going to take your brush and put it back in the basket. You're also going to take your paint, and this is wet, so it will spill and splatter if I'm not careful. I'm going to hold it very level and then put it back in my basket. And then that's it. Leave the basket on the table. I don't want spills to happen. When everybody is finished at the table with the water cup, you may bring it to the sink, empty it out, and just leave it at the sink.